We are here with Sam Borey. She studied mechanical engineering at Northeastern University. She worked as an innovation engineer at New Balance, and she recently got her master's in engineering design innovation from Northwestern University.
Yes, that's right. Yeah, that's crazy. I feel like most people think I studied, actually most of our friends think I studied graphic design.
Why?
Because I say design and then they're like, "Oh, graphic design." And they actually ask me a lot to do graphic design things, and I'll do them, but they come out really bad.
You're like, that wasn't my major.
Yeah, I actually don't know how to use Photoshop really well.
So how do you explain to somebody what your major was for grad school?
It was a way easier to explain engineering. One, because people kind of check out when you say that, and then they're like, okay, whatever. I guess I usually say I got a master's in product design. That's what I say. And then people either think of that, if you're in tech, they are like, oh, digital UX, which is like sort of close to what I did. And then, or they think product design, like how to like make a shelf that's beautiful, you know? So, and it's, I kind of am like, yeah, I did study how to make products. And I kind of leave it at that. But if somebody really wants to know, I would say I studied like the entire breadth of the product design like ecosystem. So there's a bit of research, of talking to people. I'm trying to think, like, how would I describe it? I think I really just learned how to talk to people and interview people, and then how to create services, physical products, digital products, like for the people that I talk to. So like, I'm trying to think of an example. Let's say you're like, I'm going to make a coffee company, and like, I'm going to make a coffee machine for old people. Like, that's my idea. And maybe I'm at a consultancy or something, and a product design consultancy, and you're like, I got to make this coffee machine for old people. Kind of the first step is like, okay, well, is that a problem? Like, do old people need coffee, and they need to use a coffee machine? And then you talk to a bunch of old people about their coffee issues. And then you kind of build maybe a prototype, and then you put it in front of like a bunch of old people, and they're like, I like this, and I hate this button being here, and this screen is confusing, and I actually hate coffee, and all I want is like somebody to bring me coffee in the morning. And then, we use all of that information and try to like pitch what would give, I guess, in a weird capitalist way, people the most like ROI. So what are people actually going to buy based on those interviews? And that could turn into a digital product, a physical product, or a service. And I studied the service aspect the most at my program.
It sounds like engineering and design are both about solving problems. So where does the engineering part end and that design part begin?
Oh, yeah, that's interesting. So I would say design usually comes first. Like, you'll think of an idea or you'll see a problem, and then design will take over and start interviewing, talking to people, thinking of concepts and ideas, and then you usually work with an engineer at that point. I mean, the most experience I have is in physical products. So, like, let's say somebody comes up with, I was working on a coffee machine. So somebody came up with like a concept for a coffee machine. So the designers like think of what it's going to look like. What features will it have? How big is it? And then they'll come to me and they'll be like, is this feasible to build? And I'll basically work with them until we put it through manufacturing, or I did when I was an engineer. And then engineering would like throw it through manufacturing. And the same works with digital, is like conceptualize a concept, and then engineers will be like, I either can or can't build that, or like they'll be like, okay, like this concept is too difficult for me to code, but I can do this for you. So engineers are kind of like sometimes thought of as the wet blanket.
I mean, hearing you say like, oh, an engineer might say, oh, I might not be able to do that. I immediately think of Tony Stark built this in a cave with a box of scraps.
Yeah.
Like, I feel like you're being asked to do things that are really challenging, not realistic maybe sometimes.
Yeah, sometimes. I think it's also like money, because like, especially hardware costs so much money and materials cost so much money. And then it's like, whenever you build something, the first time you build it's always going to be so fucked up. You're going to be like, I should have ordered 18 screws and I have 2, and I built this stupid and I can't put things together. Or like, I've designed a bunch of things as an engineer, like components that go together and then they go together and they can't come apart. And then I'm like, well, shit, like I can't fix it. So you have to kind of go back so it's like it's time and money. And also like, the more experienced you are, the better you're going to get in terms of like high tech stuff and feasibility. But, I think that's, at least for hardware, where a lot of the issues come in.
What drew you to engineering in the first place? When you went to Northeastern, how did you decide what to study?
Oh, yeah. Actually, I had originally wanted to do like a made up thing. I found something convoluted online. It was like psychological engineering or something, but I wanted to either do ergonomics, which was, designing around the human body, like designing whatever people like touch and use, which is kind of similar to what I do now. But UX had not really been a thing by the time that I was applying for college, and all of the like art, I was like, I liked art. Basically, I really liked math. I really liked physics. I liked psychology, but there was nothing at the time that really combined any of them. So when I thought about mechanical engineering, I was like, oh, math, physics, building. I like building stuff. I like products. And then I thought I wanted to be a toy designer. And I was like, okay, if I go to mechanical engineering and then I can jerry rig my way into designing toys, because toys are like very mechanically. But yeah, I mean, I was an 18-year-old who was good at physics, and I was like, all right.
I mean, toy design sounds fun.
Yeah, I did a horrible. I did an internship at Hasbro, and I was in like the cost engineering like department within board games, and I like hated it so much that I just like I was like, I'll never I'm not going into big toy ever again. Big toy. No, but I really enjoy what I'm doing now. And I really enjoyed the master's program. So I'm glad where everything ended up.
How did you decide on this master's program? Did you look at a lot of different options? Did you know this was the one that you wanted?
Yeah. So like, I would say this one stood out. Well, so there's the Stanford D.school, which is the Stanford design school. And that's kind of like the flagship program that's really, really hard to get into. And then there's a couple programs that kind of followed suit. So I knew I wanted to, like, I had worked in engineering enough and it was cool. And I was like, I'm doing cool stuff and I get to work with robots. And it was interesting, but I wasn't as like interested as the engineers I was working with. Like I had a senior engineer who I really liked working with, and he would like come in his free time. He would come and be like, look, I built this cool idea for you to try. And I was like, I have never wanted to in my life, like in my free time, build something extra for this job. I was like, I'm fine to do the job and like I think it's cool, but like that's not something that I want to do.
You're like, whoa, dude, this is like, too much.
Yeah, I was like, Jesus. And then, every other engineer I talked to who was like in hardcore R&D, which is what I was in, also like was either fixing their bike or their car. And I was like, I'm not like the rest of the people here. And so I knew UX was coming up. I had done a like program during COVID, like a 6-week class in digital UX, and I really liked it. So UX is an up and coming, like, I don't know, career. You kind of see it everywhere. And I was like, okay, I'm going to do this like design program. I don't want to be the person building it. I want to be the person thinking of what to build. And so
Steve Jobs.
Yeah. So programs, like design programs, so there's the Stanford D.school, which is kind of this like all-encompassing design school, very famous. And then you have a lot of different design programs and masters that are split off into either like you're a mechanical engineer who wants to do design engineering, and you get to focus on like building products, or like Carnegie Mellon HCI program, which is human computer interaction, which is more digital product focused. And this program in particular was a lot more, like a lot wider in breadth. So you touched everything. You touched UX, you touched physical. And also the thing that really stood out to me was that they also focused on like business and service design, which are the two ones I ended up really like enjoying. And so service design, I just didn't see that really in any other program. And when they also were like, okay, how does design interact with business, which is a super important thing because most businesses are like, why do we need design? That's you make pretty graphics and screens. Like, it's very important to be able to like talk about how it makes money. Like, it was like a wider program. It was really like branched off of the D.school, and it was in Chicago, which was cool. And then I think like, I actually didn't know this at the time, but now that I think of it, I think like Don Norman was one of the people who helped create the curriculum as well, which was really cool.
Who's Don Norman?
He made that book, Design of Everyday Things. It's that yellow book.
Oh, yeah. Really famous.
Yeah, he's like, he has like a website that like every designer goes to. I think some designers think he might be like overrated at this point, but he popularized it. So like, I loved the curriculum. It was super fun. And I got to go do improv in Chicago, which was also super fun.
Was the improv? It wasn't part of your program. It was just like a hobby?
I was just like, I was like, Second City's there. Like, I'm going to go.
That's cool.
Yeah. So that was fun too.
As somebody who studied service design, can you think of an example of like a business or an experience where you were like, whoa, they did a really good job with this?
Yeah, I think it's really easy to think of bad services, but I think one that like comes up that we have talked about in school is like Airbnb. So service design is essentially like, it's like an entire journey somebody goes through where they are interfacing with people, digital interfaces, and then physical interfaces. So I think like probably a better example would actually be an airport. So like if I were to map out the service of an airport, it's like to help you get to your destination. So like you enter into the airport, and a lot of the time, like the first thing you do is you look up at the signage. And that's a really huge part of service design, is like, what is good signage? Because a lot of the time you'll be like, what does premium mean? Am I premium? And then you'll stand in a line you think is, you know, your ticket, and then somebody will be like, you're not premium. And then you'll be like, okay, where am I supposed to go? And they're like, down that way. And so you kind of like aimlessly walk to another location where there's another line that's not clear. So when you think of like good service design, you shouldn't be asking all of those questions. You should be able to like come into the airport, see a sign, understand what it means, look at a line, and be like, okay, that's where I'm supposed to stand to get my ticket, and then like interface with the UI, understand what it means. So a good service is Airbnb. They did a really good job of like getting people from like their phone or their laptop and booking a place to actually getting to the place safely and understanding like what the rules were. So I think, right, like for example, you find a house you like, and then the owner gets to evaluate you whether or not they think you would be a good fit for their house. Like, I don't know, depending on how strict they are, you know, there's age limits, all that fun stuff. And they're like, okay, you get to have my house for the weekend. And then that's when you get like the address. So you're not being given the address too early for safety reasons. And then, right, the time is coming. Now there's a back and forth. They have like a little interface for you to talk with your host. And then Airbnb also thought of like, okay, we need to have like, you know, instructions on the website that we know people are going to look at their phones as they're walking up to the house. We have to have the instructions like on the home page, and we have to set reminders and like email people when they're getting to their house. Like you'll get an email that's like, your stay is coming up. And that makes it a lot easier than like, okay, I have to go back into the app or back onto the native site, search through like where I'm staying, and then scroll down to find the instructions. And then it also has like built-in liability. So if you like screw up, you know, this person's house, they can like elevate that to Airbnb, or they can leave you a bad review if they're not happy with you. So that's kind of like, they've thought of everything to make it a lot easier. And good service design, you're always like, okay, where can things go wrong, and how can we mitigate those where things can go wrong? So like that's why having like a really good, you know, support system, especially in those types of services, is really important.
Have you been to Japan?
No, but I'm sure they're like freaking amazing.
The crown jewel of service design.
Yeah, of
like,
course.
I just remember like going up to ATMs, had cane holders for people who were older.
Yeah, that's amazing.
And I was like, whoa, like they really put a lot of thought into this.
They care about people. Like they do. Like Japan, and then Europe is where service design started. Like Nordic countries, Germany. Yeah, like anywhere that has like some socialism baked into their community, like they just care about people, and they're like thinking of those things. I'm sure Japan, I mean, I'm pretty sure they're like, there's probably way more examples you can think of. But yeah,
it was like a great trip. I recommend it. I just feel like I would
love to go.
Like even the subway, like you're like, oh, I don't speak Japanese, but you're like, well, everything is colors, so it's like, yeah, I can just follow the colors.
Yeah, exactly.
I don't know, I can't think of other examples.
And then in the New York subway, they're like, oh, don't get in there, it's sweaty. Like they're like, you either get in the train or you don't.
New York subway is like, we've got 4 different trains,
yeah.
N, Q, R, and W. They're all the exact same color.
Yeah.
You have no idea which one is the express one.
Yeah. You're never gonna know.
And you don't know which stops the express one skips.
Yes. Yeah. And you don't know, a lot of the time, like, it's also super easy to accidentally go in the uptown or the downtown. That like, I've lived here, you know, I grew up here, always would get on the wrong train constantly. But yeah, they're not, that would be like, I would love to like help fix that, but that's like more government stuff.
What is a problem that could really benefit from service design?
Oh my God. I mean, the very first thing I think of is always like fixing a government process for, you know, people who are trying to apply for like social services. So for example, my brother is autistic, and he is qualified to get a job through something called FedCap, and I don't know too much about it, but in order to apply, he has issues with attention span and like executive functioning and like flipping between like understanding steps and stuff. And so my mom had to help him apply for it, and in order to apply for it, he had to download like a 30-page document, print it out, figure out where to sign, and then send that in to the government. And I was like, that's just like that, like there's so much technology that could be used to like make this easier just from a base level, but also like when you're dealing with people who have attention span issues, or like, you know, they have special needs, like you can't like even just giving them a PDF where they're like sign here, you can't expect them to easily like go through that, you know. So those are things that are, and you know, anything that's trying to help people with who are not neurotypical can be improved. But like even getting, oh my God, the DMV, you know. But I bet you the Japan DMV is awesome. I bet you people like it there.
They have like coffees and teas, and it just like works.
Yeah, just where you like pop in and you don't need like 8 different types of, you know how you go and they're like, oh, you needed your birth certificate, your real one, and you're like,
your real one. Yeah.
You're like, I nowhere did that say that. And also, it's like, how will I get my real birth certificate? Like, you know, so that could be fixed. I would love to fix that.
I mean, my grandfather was 104, and we were trying to get Italian citizenship, and they were like, we need his original birth certificate from 104 years ago. And surprisingly, we found it.
That's great. Where'd you find it?
I forget. I wish I
It's
knew.
in like a dusty drawer. You're like,
You blow on it, it just falls apart.
yeah, you're like, no.
It's like the Declaration of it. I guess it's like the Declaration of
kinda is.
Independence.
Oh
Yeah.
my gosh. Yeah, like any kind of government thing, I'm like, holy crap, like, oh, this sucks. But, you know, all of the good services remain for like Chase Bank. I applied at, or I interviewed at JPMorgan. They're getting service designers too, to like make that like more seamless, because you have to go between, you know, your app and a banker, and everybody kind of there's a lot of like siloed parts of the business that have to talk to each other in order for that to be like a seamless experience. So all the good experiences are going to rich people, unfortunately.
For neurodivergent people and designing for different types of people, did you have a class in your program that addressed that, or did you have any experience that helped with that?
Yeah, I think like one of the biggest things that I remember is a concept called co-design, where you know, the basis of good design is like humility and knowing that you don't know what people want. Like the like number one way to fail with a product is to think of something assuming that you know what people want. And so especially with like people who are neurodivergent, who have completely different experiences than you, you know, you're gonna want to get them in on the design process. So a big thing that we learned is like, okay, instead of me brainstorming ideas, you know, I'll interview people and then I'll get them all together and I'll say like, okay, these are the things that I've heard from you that you struggle with. And I try to help them think of ideas, instead of me being like, they'll love this. And then, you know, they do it and they're like, this sucked. So, that's the same with like designing for a community that you're not a part of. In design and ethics, we talked a lot about like the idea of like people wanting to go to like, you know, different countries and like third world countries and help people with issues. Like, for example, I think one person, this was like a case study we talked about, where somebody was like, oh, we're going to make a playground, like a merry-go-round playground that kids like will like swing on and they'll push this thing around. And I have to probably like look this up again, but you'll get the general concept. And I think what it did was it like either created electricity or it filtered water or something for this community that didn't have water. And what ended up happening is that the kids got bored of it. Like made this and then they left and they're like, we fixed this community. And then the kids got bored of it and it like backed up a ton of stuff. And like, actually, so it's like, you have to kind of, you can't just go in there and be like, you're going to love this. Like, so, yeah, getting people involved as much as you can in the design process and making sure you're checking like before you actually implement is probably one of the biggest things that I can think of.
Sometimes I think about, there was a company that they made a login screen, but then for some reason they wouldn't let someone's last name be shorter than like 3 or 4 characters.
Oh, yeah.
And of course, they didn't think of all the people in the world whose surname is like 1 or 2 characters, you know?
100%.
Like they just didn't bother to talk to those people, you know?
Yeah, like testing is super important for that, where you like you make prototypes and you know, have people go through it, and like had they tested it probably with like more than 3 people, like somebody would have been like, hey, my last name doesn't like work, like, you know. So it's just like they're like, companies are so eager to get things out that's also another thing, is like where we have to be like, whoa, then like slow down. You know, like you don't know if this is gonna be good yet, you know.
So wait, tell me about the job. So you graduated from the program, and then what happened next?
Yeah, so I graduated from the program, and I did my thesis on service. I did a service design thesis, and it was like for a company called Fuji Jiu-Jitsu. It was about, the problem I was trying to solve was like helping women with their first class in jiu-jitsu. And so I really enjoyed doing that thesis, and I was like, okay, I definitely want to do service design, but it's a really niche field. It's like kind of up and coming, and design positions are all like intersecting with each other and like very fluid. Like there's a lot of like different positions that are kind of have everything. So whatever. So I was trying to find like something servicey. And I mean, like one of the, you know, really upsides of going to programs like that is that you have a network now. So I had a alum who I worked with who was a year older than me, because it's a 2-year program. She was that team at KPMG, their internal tools team is and still is growing their service design team. And so there was just like a position that opened up, and I interviewed there, and then I interviewed at JPMorgan, and I got the KPMG one. So, I mean, yeah, like it was through people.
And how do you like it? How do you like the job?
I do. I think, you know, it's really cool that I get to be doing design, which I'm really excited about. I think it's even more interesting to like apply it to business now. I also think it's super cool. I get to like think of, you know, what to create and like different ways to go about doing things. Like I think one of my team, there's an accessibility team in the design. There's like the design team, and then there's accessibility, service, UX, all this fun stuff. They wanted a way to like look at all of the accessibility issues they found and then put it in like a dashboard. And now I'm like kind of mapping out their entire process and figuring out like, am I going to create a completely new platform that they put their accessibility prompts into, and there's like an AI that scans it and writes it in a repository, and then there's like a dashboard. So I get to kind of be a lot more creative and think of like different ways to make people's lives better, at least from a work standpoint. But the other part of it is like there is our KPMG employees, and they'll come up to us and they'll be like, this sucks, like this platform sucks. And so I'm helping right now. There is this like repository of tons of information, like just it's like the UI is really bad, it's really confusing for employees to use. And the team, like the business team, kind of came up to us and was like, let's like make an AI search. And then our job was to be like, okay, well, let's first make sure that that's what people actually want. Like they will use the AI search, and if not, like what do they actually want? So it's been a lot of interviewing. It's been a lot of like thinking of different features. I'll be like, okay, instead of a search, maybe there's favorites. And so that's been really cool. I like thinking of stuff and like making different prototypes and thinking up different like ideas.
I imagine that some people have really strong opinions about like you said, this is what it should be. This is what I want.
Yeah.
And maybe they don't always have like data to back that up.
Yeah.
How do you deal with that?
Yeah, it's something that we were kind of warned about too in school, is like, you're going to be fighting people. And you're like, oh. Well, so far it's been like kind of teaching people as to what design is and what, like, how it helps with the process. So most people come in and they think that our entire team are digital designers. And by that, I mean, like, they think we, like, make a interface, like we make it visually appealing. So they thought that they would put in an AI search and we would, like, make it look nice. And basically a lot of it is being like, okay, so what we're doing is we're talking to people who use this platform and making sure that what we build is something they actually want, so that we don't spend all this time, money, and engineering to build something to find out that they hate it and they don't use it. And now we're back to square one.
The kids don't want to play on that thing anymore.
Yeah. The kids don't want to pump filtered water for you anymore, you know? Like, so that's like a big part of it, is just like education and trying to, and involving people.
So when you were talking about all the different stakeholders you worked with, it made me think of, like, in tech, like the product manager job.
Yeah.
Is that something that is similar to service designer? Is that something that you've looked at as well?
Yeah, product management is something I've looked into, but it seemed, when I, like, looked at, or, like, you know, when you go on YouTube and you're like, day in life of a product manager, they're like, I want to kill myself. And I'm like, okay, maybe not. Like, they're like, I was like, damn. I do enjoy where it's like, you know, you're making something happen and you're creating a product. And, but yeah, it seems super stressful because you're, like, having to, like, decide what's most important. You're making the schedule, you're making sure everybody's, like, you know, doing things on time, you're putting out fires. It's just like, I liked the idea of, like, making decisions on a product, but I wanted to do more of kind of what I realized after doing my thesis was that I really liked the design aspect of it and being like, okay, you know, what should the wording be here? Should there be, like, signage? And you know, a big part of service design is also designing for what we call front end and back end. So there's, like, journey, which is like Aiden goes to the airport and goes into the line and gets his bag tag. And then there's the front end, which is who you interact with. So Aiden goes into the airport and talks to a customer agent and asks where he goes to get his bag tag. And the customer agent, we have to make sure, like, knows how to answer questions. They know where to stand. They know what they're doing. And then at the back end, it's like, what are all of the things happening that Aiden doesn't see that needs to happen seamlessly in order for him to have a good experience. And I love designing for all those layers of things. Like, for example, when you go to get your prescriptions, you see the person, and, like, being like, okay, are you here to pick up? And then that's kind of your front end interaction. But what you don't see is, like, the people in the back, like, filing all, like, it feels like magic. You're like, how do I get what's happening back there? And, like, a lot of it is designing that part too, is like, okay, like, how can somebody easily get Aiden his prescription without him waiting for 10 minutes? And how do we organize the medicine on the back end? And do we want Aiden to see them trying to get his medicine, or will that give him a bad like, what if the back end is, like, a massive thing of pills and somebody's like, oh, I don't know where to go, and, like, Aiden sees that, he's probably not gonna want to he's probably not gonna want to go back to CVS. Whereas it's like maybe we don't have people see, like, you know, how the sausage is made. right So I love, like, designing all of that and, like, creating an experience. So that's why my long-winded answer for why I didn't really want to do PM, because that's more execution and, like, business, making sure it gets you ROI and, like, okay, you're making more decisions, and it's less design.
You know what I think of when you say that is the Genius Bar. Like, I go to the Genius Bar, I give them my computer, and it just feels like magic.
Yeah.
And I know that when they take it in the back room, like, there's all this crazy stuff they're doing.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. No, that's a really good service too, is Apple. I mean, Apple does such a good job. They're kind of, I was told in design school that they're, like, really strict. Like, if you mess up they like fire you. Like they like one mistake and you're out. Like that's like their PM culture.
Wow.
Yeah, but I mean they're amazing for it. So it's like I guess
It works.
it works.
I mean,
Fear works.
fear was a motivator.
Yeah. It's like it is kind of like magic, and the front end they designed really well is also having like, okay, these like surface design also has a lot of like branding to do with it. So they designed, you know, the shirts that they wear, and like what do these Genius Bar people look like? Do we want them to look like doctors? Do we want them to look like nerds? Like we probably want them to look like nerds so that people think that they know what they're doing, right? Like you don't want a guy in flip-flops like you know, probably like most people wouldn't want like a guy like flip-flops and like a open t-shirt, you know, fixing their computer. And then also like, okay, you have this like nice bar and there's a wait list and there's a place for people to wait so they're not like mulling around. And then there's also, you know, they can play on the iPads and stuff while they wait, and then they get a text. And then and they're like, okay, I'm ready. And so they come up with their stuff. And then when they go back into the Genius Bar, I have no idea what happens, but it probably makes a lot more sense for them to have, you know, an organized room full of tools where they can, you know, work on a computer. And they actually do bring, which now that I'm thinking about it, they do bring a lot of that back end stuff to the Genius Bar itself, because like if you notice, they will sometimes like troubleshoot with you and like unscrew it and stuff. And I'm sure that was designed too, because I'm sure people were like, well, what did you even do with my computer? Like, you know, like how do you know what the, you know, like I'm sure some guy was like, well, I think, you know. So like those are interesting things. It's like maybe they were like, okay, nobody's gonna ever see us repairing anything or troubleshooting, and then they probably came up with like a lot of the employees were probably like, people kept thinking that we were like destroying their computers in the back, so we have to troubleshoot in front of them. Like that's an example of like a design choice. But that's a good example too. Yeah.
I mean, I remember like going into the Genius Bar and they have like a device, and I think it tells you like, this is good, this is good, this is good.
Yeah.
And that's like kind of interesting, because it's like, oh yeah, now there's trust here, as opposed to them being like, I did everything. And you're like, well, what's everything?
Yeah. Like they didn't go back and like go like this and like watch their climb, and they're like, well, I did it. Yeah.
Well, nothing we can do.
Nothing we could do about it.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's a really good, it's like, okay, we want to see that and I'm sure they designed that device too for that, like, is like, so that you could see what they were doing as well, instead of it being something like, you know, private that they keep behind their computer.
What about, I'm just thinking of other experiences.
Yeah.
What about hotels? What about boarding an airplane? What about, you mentioned the pharmacy thing already. Like, why are these things so painful?
I think service design is new and experience design is new. And I think people didn't really map things out when thinking of these traditionally. But I think a big part of it is like silos. So there's like a huge frustration. Like this happened to me at the airport recently, where something messed up on my ticket. Like I didn't have pre-check. And the lady was like, okay, go. She like wrote something on my ticket. I had no idea what it meant, but I thought that she had like approved me for pre-check or something. So I went to the line, and the guy was like, the security agent who puts my card in was like, oh, like you're not on our system. And I was like, yeah, but this ticket has this signature on it. And I was like, obviously. And he was like, I'm like a police officer. Like, I don't know what that means. I was like,
he's like, you could have written that.
Yeah, exactly. And so I go back, and I'm like panicked because my plane's in like 20 minutes or 40 minutes. It was like something cutting it close. And I'm like showing this like signature to anybody, and with a vest on, and I was like, what does this mean? And so, you know, like, had there been like a system where like, hey, like if there was a meeting or some sort of artifact or a sticker that's like, this means they have pre-check, like there's not a lot of design for issues that come up. So there's a design for like the perfect situation. Like they designed the perfect uncrowded situation if you get there 3 hours before it, but my pre-check wasn't working and nobody designed for that. So when a woman makes his signature on my ticket, I had they could have easily made a printable sticker that says pre-check approved or something. And then in training, you say, hey, if this sticker is on, let them through, but instead of people were like, I don't know what that means. And so I'd be running around.
I'm just a police officer.
Yeah. And so I'm running around, or the lady could have there could have been instructions or something. But I think a lot of it is people design for the perfect flow and they're like, oh, okay, nothing will go wrong. And things always go wrong. People always have questions. Signs are always confusing. A big design thing, which is really funny to think about, that, and you'll notice this now that I'm saying this, is that people don't read. You cannot expect people to read things. They won't. I went to the Lincoln Park Zoo with our friends, our idiot band of friends.
Misfits.
Yeah, our misfits friends. And so we were walking to the gorilla cage or whatever. And so it's this massive cage. And we were like, where the hell are the gorillas? Where are they? We've been here for 5 minutes looking for them. And it took us so long to look up, and there is a giant sign that says gorillas are out today. People don't read. They straight up don't read. So when you're creating signage and such, people are looking for, but it's just, there's design principles that have to be put in place, and no one ever designs for when things go wrong. And I think or for people to communicate what a signature on a ticket means. Maybe that lady knows what a signature on a ticket means, but maybe the person down at the pre-check line, the police officer, doesn't know what that means. So siloed communication is a big one too, where it's well, I do bag checks. Why should I know anything about, why should the guy in pre-check know anything about what the bag check lady knows? They're why they're two different, it's too separated. But when you're all mapping out the entire experience, it's completely interconnected. So yeah, I would say that's my assumptions.
That's a good example with the gorillas. That's kind of funny.
Yeah, people don't read.
I hate when I'm in line at an ice cream shop or something.
Yeah.
And the menu that says the flavors or whatever they're selling is at the very, very front near the register. And so I'm standing in line for 15 minutes. And then it's okay, you have 5 seconds now between when you see the items and when you get to the register.
Wait, but you don't look at the counter? Isn't there a counter with the tubs?
Yeah, but it's the ones I've been to, crazy places. They're
yeah, you go to terrible ice cream shops.
They're so crowded. They're you're not even near that. There's so many places where I'm I've been in line for 15 minutes without access to the menu. And now I'm next in line and I just get to see the menu now.
Yeah, well, that I think that is a good example. I mean, if you that's why people have the menus now bolted somewhere where everybody can see them, or they have the small ones, that you can pick up as you come in. Those are things that I'm sure maybe better, more attentive, empathetic ice cream places would have.
I will take my business elsewhere.
I will be taking my business elsewhere. Where are you going that's so crowded? I think about that whenever I go into a coffee shop or something. I'm oh my gosh, there's a coffee shop that I go to that's by my parents' house, and they have their lids in a completely different spot than where they have their straws where they have the milk, and then they have 2 garbage cans that say no liquids on them. And I was like, okay, first of all, hate that the lids and the straws and the milk is in completely 3 different places. So now I'm running around your shop making my coffee. And then also I'm okay, if you have an issue where people are constantly putting liquids in your trash cans. Okay, like right, like you're either over pouring and that's it, like, or you just put like a basin for their liquids so that you don't have to do. So I'm always thinking about that, and I wish I could be like, what if you just put a bucket there? Like,
wait, that's a really good point though, where it's like they expect the customers to all change their behavior instead of just changing their system.
Yeah, it's like another thing is like if somebody's doing something consistently, like you know those happy paths, not, oh my god, is that what they're called? Like they're, you know, when you're in you're walking somewhere and you see like grass that's obviously stomped on, like it's like a path cutting diagonally.
Oh yeah, like it's dirt because everybody's walked.
Yeah. It's like the design answer is like, well, just put a sidewalk there. People are doing it anyway. Like people are throwing liquid in your trash can, just put a bucket there because people aren't gonna stop. If you put a little tag that says no liquids, people aren't gonna stop. I'm so sorry.
People can't read.
people can't read. They don't read and they can't read.
They're illiterate.
They're illiterate.
Oh my god, that's actually really good. I love that example. That's so interesting. Yeah. Damn. I want to ask you, what did you want to be when you were a kid?
Oh my gosh. That like changed so much. I feel like it isn't even relevant. The closest like phase that was similar to the career I have now is that I wanted to be like an inventor. So that's pretty close to what I'm doing now. But like
crazy old Maurice.
I wanted to be Maurice from Beauty and the Beast.
Same.
Specifically, yeah. I still have like 50 years until I can look like him. So I got a lot of time. Yeah. But yeah, like, I mean, I think like I wanted to be a writer at some point, like a singer, like such like irrelevant, weird crap. I think at one point I heard that accountants make a lot of money and I was like, I'm going to be an accountant. I had no idea what that meant. I was like, accountant. My mom was like, what the fuck? Like,
it's like, why?
Yeah, she's like, you're 7.
She's like, are you sure?
Yeah. But yeah, I like always liked building stuff. And like psychology. So it makes sense that I kind of drifted into this, but I think I was like, yeah, when I was growing up, I was like, anything. I was like, yeah. So
psychology, you mentioned that a few times today. Are there certain like books you'd recommend for people who like learning about that stuff?
Oh, about psychology?
Yeah, or like psychology and product design, or a podcast you like.
I think the big books that are like psychology and design, kind of that are popular within the design community are probably more behavioral economics books. So like, it's like, why do people make the choices they do? And so for example, nudge is like, how can we make people, how can we like change systems so that, like, how can we do little small nudges so that people will actually do tasks that will be helpful to them that sound otherwise really annoying? So like an example, one big thing that came out of nudge, or I don't know if it came out specifically of nudge, but it was talked about it in the book, is so when you sign up for, you used to have to sign up for a 401k like a lot of the time. You probably still do in a lot of different companies, but what you'll notice now is that companies will automatically opt you into 401ks. So there was this like study, I think, that found like like the vast majority of people were like, oh yeah, of course I want to be in the 401k program. But like they found that maybe 82% of people said they wanted to be in the 401k program, but they found that like 20% of people opted in. And they were like, okay, so what intervention can we do to kind of bring the amount of people who want to be in this 401k up? And it was like, okay, well, we can make it easier for them to, you know, join it. But what's like the easiest thing is that we can just have people automatically be opted in, and then they can opt out if they don't want to. So that's an example of a nudge, is like, yeah, like automatic opt-ins. And there's like a ton of examples in the government that like different government systems have adopted. I think like maybe the UK government, but that's the first one that comes off the top of my head because now I see it. I'm like, oh, like I got automatically added into the 401k at KPMG, and I was like, that's awesome, because I would have forgotten.
It's interesting because, yeah, you're like, everyone wants to join this thing, but then they just don't do it.
Yeah, because it's annoying. Like, you don't have time, and then, you know, you also don't have reminders, so it's just easier to have people not do it. But then, like, there's also, you know, people who take advantage, or designers who like take advantage of these types of things. So, like, for example, making subscriptions, like email subscriptions, super hard to opt out of. That's like on purpose. Or automatically opting you in, you know, to like 1,000 emails, and they're like, all these check marks are pre-checked for you, don't worry. And like, so it's like at that, and then so it's used for good and used for bad. But there's a ton of different like little design principles like that.
I just thought of those things where like you try to unsubscribe from an email list or something, and the designer is like so sassy and like critical in their language, where it's like, yes, I'm a total loser. And no, I don't want to make money. And you're just like, fuck you.
I know that, like, copywriting, the copyright design is like fucked. Like, it'll be like, no, I don't want to save money today. And you're like, hey, I just don't want to get your shitty emails.
Do better, write better emails.
They do that all the time. Or making it like a huge fat button saying like subscribe, then a little little button that says like don't, you know. It's like, Dev, you've seen that before, right?
Yep,
yeah,
of course.
Like it makes me so, and you know there's just some MBA behind there being like, that's perfect.
It's perfect. It's like the dark side of design.
It
like,
is.
How do we trick our users? How do we keep them captive? You know,
it's horrible. And I feel like it's all like, just, I mean, like finance people who don't know or care about other people who are like, yeah, like let's freaking fill their email boxes and they'll eventually have to come to us. And then, you know, it's also kind of like, I'm kind of like, hey, designers, like, why are you letting that happen, huh? But I can't be too critical of it, because, you know, people want to keep their jobs.
I mean, I just imagine like there's a designer at Netflix, and like their job was, how does someone cancel their Netflix subscription? And there's an executive at Netflix who's like, listen,
this is gonna be near impossible.
We're gonna give them lots of questions, lots of options to pick different stuff.
We're going to make the language super confusing. I took a product management course. PMs are pretty much like, a lot of the time, they're tasked to try to make money off of something, right? Like, okay, like, you know, sometimes it's like, oh, build this new cool thing that will help people. But then a lot of the time it'll be like, well, how much profit can you squeeze out? And so one of the examples I think we got was like, Uber will know. You can do a ton of stuff with backend data. So like, I think they designed this so that, like, if you open up your app, I don't know if it's still a thing, and you open up Lyft, and then you check it, it'll know that you opened up Lyft. When you go back to Uber, it'll be less priced. It'll be small. Or there's this rumor, I don't know if this is real, but there was this rumor going around, because my professor was like, used to be like the head of AI at Uber, where if your phone, they like took the gyroscope, and if you were like this with your phone, they knew you were desperate and drunk, so they would jack up the price.
Whoa.
Isn't that crazy? We were like, yeah, I think like somebody asked about that, and he was like, I don't know. And we were like, do you not really know? Like
it didn't even surprise me. He goes,
yeah, he's like, good idea. Yeah.
I bet a really smart guy thought of that.
So like there's like a ton of stuff where PMs like I think it's like lazy money, where they're just like, okay, like let's make 4K more money and that'll make us more money. Let's do ads instead of think of like a cool new feature people want. But it's like, let's make sure drunk people pay more, you know? And they love it. They just like, they gobble that stuff up. I think there was like another thing that he was telling us about where a student of his went up onto like being the PM of this like big Walmart like grocery
category manager type.
Yeah, like she created a like grocery delivery thing for like Walmart or some big company. I can't quite remember, but it was specifically grocery delivery. And so he asked her this because he had noticed that when he was doing deliveries, the price was like way more than when his wife was doing them on her phone. And he was like, what the hell? Like, why? And then he talked to his old student who had created the product, and she was like, yeah, we made it so that like we can tell people who are desperate or like do last minute grocery items, we like jack up the prices because we know they're more likely to like pay more.
Wow.
And like, so he was like paying more because, you know, they noticed a trend because they do so much with your data. Like that you think that they're selling your data. That's not it. They're using it against you to like design things so that you're paying more. Like they can tell if you probably have a higher income and you're willing to pay more and not price check. Like if, you know, if I buy my groceries every Sunday night, like maybe Sunday night, they're going to increase like they can do a ton of stuff like that. So, I was like, damn.
But wait, these are crazy examples. Like,
yeah,
wow.
I think like one of the examples was, the first day of class, which I kind of think it's interesting to think of. Like, I think the creative part of it is interesting, but, was like, he was like, okay, you're the PM for the MBTA and you need to get more riders on, or you need to make more money for the MBTA, the CTA, the Chicago Transit Authority. So the L, which is what is called, which is what the train is called in Chicago. And one of his first ideas, which he kind of just like thought of randomly, just as an exercise to show what PMs kind of do, is like, he was like, okay, like, you know, your customers wake up at 7 a.m. and they pass by a Dunkin. We're going to collaborate with Dunkin and give them like a $10 Dunkin card if they buy like the unlimited pass for the CTA. So there's a lot of like, okay, I know where you're going, and I know I like when you say like, okay, I accept the GPS on my like CTA app or my MTA app, whatever transit authority. Like, now that I have the GPS tracking, I can look at where my customers are. And if they're waiting by a Dunkin' Donuts, I can go to this Dunkin' Donuts and be like, okay, how can we make this like a profit opportunity for us? So that's how your data is being used. It's like it is being sold, but it's mostly being used to just get money out of you.
It's so sneaky.
Isn't that sneaky?
So evil. It's so evil.
I know. Some of it is like used for good, and then but like little things like that, when like, I mean, like my mom, her Uber prices were like way more than mine, and I was like, I wonder what data they're using to like aggregate these prices, because like maybe they know that I'm like a student because I would Uber to and from like the Northwestern campus, and they made my prices lower because of that, and they know that she's like a downtown Manhattanite. And like, you know, now that I know all of this, I'm like, I wonder what, like, how they know like to do this, you know?
I mean, like, I remember Uber, there was a big lawsuit where they were like, oh, you guys are using, like you said, with the Lyft data, like they were taking it really far. I forget what they were doing, but they were like using data to like jack up prices on people.
Yeah, I mean, they're still doing it, but I'm sure, yeah, when it gets to the court, it's probably because it's like atrocious. Now it's like, they're like, like just a little bit, you know?
It's so evil.
It's I know, it's like, it sucks. It's just because it's like, it's profit squeezing. That's what I think it is. Yeah. A lot. It's not like, it would be cool if they were like, oh, you know, you pass a Citi Bike, maybe there's a pop-up that says like, this is your, you know, your route if you biked, and then maybe it's like actually faster than the CTA. Like that's like a cool way to use data, but they use it more for, you know, profit stuff.
How we squeeze every dime out of this person.
Every single dime we can. Yeah.
It's so evil.
It is annoying. Yeah.
I want to ask you this. What is next for Sam Borey?
Oh my gosh.
I know you just got this job,
Yeah.
but like, what do you think, you know, longer term?
I mean, I would eventually like love to work on like an in-person service that I think is terrible, which probably would be like a government service. Like I would love to do that, like map out where people are interacting with each other and signage and like actually do like physical touch points. Cause right now I'm really in the digital, but yeah, right now I'm just like learning as much as I can. And it would be awesome to help with social services at one point to actually feel like I'm helping people. Yeah. That's like my short-term vision right now. I'm also just trying to kind of like learn as much as I can. And, I feel like everybody's, you know, as you kind of grow, your interests grow with you and change. And so I'm just trying to like follow that like jet ski down the river, like just try to, you know, see what I like and follow that and meet people. And yeah, like I think I just really want to chase liking what I'm doing. Like that's 100%, you know, I obviously can't love what I'm doing all the time. Like I'm not going to be like, I wake up and every day is great. Like, but it would be cool for me to like wake up and be like, today I'm gonna work on something kind of interesting.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
So that's next.
That's exciting. That's a good goal. I like that.
Thanks.
And if folks want to find out more about you and check out your portfolio, where can they go?
samborri.com. So samborri.com.
Great. This was so great, Sam. Thank you so much.
This has been so fun.
I really
So
appreciate
cool.
it. This was great.